Yeah, hi, it's Mark from An American in Russia. And I know outdoors you're not supposed to film yourself with direct sunlight and blah, blah, blah. It's been so long since I've done this that I was all set about like an hour ago, right where I'm at. It would have been a perfect spot. I was all set to film it. I went, hooked up the microphones, and they were dead as a doornail. So I had to plug them in for about an hour to charge them up again. So we'll just deal with the light. It doesn't look all that terrible. Anyhow, my main reason for doing this video was to let you know that yes, I'm still alive, and yes, I'm still making YouTube videos. I just haven't done one for a while. I last did like a 3-part series about my experiences having my knee replaced here in Russia at a Russian hospital in Moscow. And that was like last November. Right now, well, I mean, that's when it was done. I published the videos after that, but it's already now mid-April, so it's definitely time to talk to you again. I found a video I had filmed about 2 weeks before my knee replacement surgery. In the before part of the video, although this was not the purpose of the video, you can see that my natural knee made even walking difficult. The after part of the video was just filmed yesterday and clearly shows how much better my new knee is. I like it. And it's kind of nice to have some way that I can show you a direct comparison. And I thought that worked out pretty well. This past winter has certainly been the worst winter of my entire life, by far, bar none. And not because of the knee surgery. The knee surgery I had done last November, it was planned in advance. And yeah, it's a tough surgery and it's tough to recuperate. But no. After that surgery, since I've been back in Tambov again, 2 times I've had to go into the hospital to have, like, I'll call them emergency surgeries, just unplanned surgeries. And all the recuperation time involved after that. Between the 2 surgeries here in Tambov, I spent more than 2 weeks in the hospitals. Actually, two different hospitals. And time after that, at home recuperating for weeks on end. It was terrible. And in addition to that, this winter here in Tambov, it was the worst winter we've had in terms of well, it was very, very cold, and not just cold, we had a lot of snow. I've been here we moved here about 7 years ago, and this was by far twice as much snow as the prior worst winter that we've had here. It seemed that every week we had at least 2 big snowstorms. Now, normally that wouldn't be a huge problem. I'm retired. I take care of the snow removal, and I've got a lot of snow removal because I have about 400 square meters. That's about 4,000 square feet of area that I keep clear of snow during the winter. And I couldn't do it this time. I was either in the hospital or recuperating, and my poor wife had to do it. And she did a great job. I mean, she couldn't do the 400 square meters, but she kept the driveway clean, pathways to the house, but it was very, very difficult on her. So much so that, I mean, even when I was in the hospital, I asked her to not come and visit me while I was in there because she needed time to take care of things at home. She needed to rest and she needed to recuperate because once I came home, it's this big baby to take care of again. Well, needless to say, I was not feeling well at all during my recuperation periods. It's actually only been about the last 2 or maybe 3 weeks that I've started to feel, well, a little bit like my old self, if that's a good thing. But so the thought of even doing any sort of a video before that was just out of the question. Now, of course, losing weight is a good thing, but I was losing too much weight during this whole hospital process and everything. I had 1 week where I lost 5 kilos. Now, for those that don't know metric very well, that's about 11 pounds. 11 pounds in 1 week. And that's not healthy, and that's not That's not something that happens to you when you're feeling well, and I wasn't trying to lose it. I just couldn't eat. Now I'm getting better and better every day. My mind is still a little bit foggy. It's not quite where it should be at this point. I've lost the hearing in my left ear. I don't know why. Now I'll start pursuing that and finding out why that was. Sleep has been a total nightmare from last November. Sometimes anesthesia affects particularly older men in this manner. And it's only been maybe the last 3 or 4 weeks where I've started to sleep a little bit better. Before that, sleep for 2 hours, be awake for 2 hours, sleep for 2 hours, be awake for 2 hours. Not good, not a good time. I'm trying to think of what I can make some videos on. Sure, with all my new hospitalizations, I have tons of material if I wanted to continue pursuing Russian healthcare, but I think maybe that's enough what I've done so far, the 3 episodes. And as I said, I've got a ton of material, and besides, I would say my experience the last 2 times in the hospital here was not nearly as pleasant as it was the time I was in Moscow, and not enough time has passed yet. I don't even really want to talk about it, so I won't. Maybe some of you have some ideas of something I could do an episode on, something that's interesting for you, something that you'd like to know. If so, please write it right down there in the comments. I'd appreciate it. Well, the main purpose here was to just say hello, let you know I'm still alive, that I'm still going to do YouTube, and until I make the next one. Paka. Actually, something I was just thinking here. This is kind of a crazy little video. It's a video that explains why I haven't been making videos. So it's like a non-video video explanation. Now, my original idea was to just put it as a post, so it would just go out to subscribers. But you know what? This thing's long enough where I'm going to just throw it in there as a video. So if you watch this one and you say, well, we learned nothing from this, then you have to work at thinking up some ideas. Help me out so I can make some material that's going to be interesting for you. Well, until the next video, which I hope isn't that much further down the road, Paka again.